It's Patrick Beatty Reviews, the number one for news. It's Patrick Beatty Reviews, number one for news. Yeah. Tune in, get up. Yeah, what's up?
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
What is up, my gaggly geeks, and welcome to this review of Wonder Woman 1984. First half is going to be spoiler free, and then the second half we're going to go into spoilers. It's first going to be up on our Patreon. This will be our debut episode to put for the Patreon. So if you're not on that or subscribe to it, please, if you do not mind, it will help us greatly moving into the next year. We can do more things. We have it's going to go straight into the show. So we're going to be working for crazy shit. And for now, we're about to have a fight that I didn't want to have, Chaz. God damn you to hell. We're talking about Wonder Woman 1984, literally the day after. So if you've been on the discourse with Twitter, if you've gone on Facebook, if you've talked with your mother, everyone has an opinion on 1984, and it's either it's incredible, or it's meh, or it's whoa, which I believe Chaz is kind of between the whoa and the meh. He might be all the way whoa, but I've talked too long. Chaz, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. We just got done recording our other episode, and we talked about what we're going to do in 2021, so I think this is a great move into that direction.
Are you starting soft right now so that you can seem like unassuming, and then you're just going to rip my head off or something?
No,
What's
man,
your fucking angle, Chaz?
Dude, you can't read me. This is my poker face, motherfucker.
Okay. Well, let's first start with the spoiler-free review, okay? And then we're going to get into it. Spoiler-free is going to be kind of short. I hope everybody has seen this if they're coming to this review. So let's start with this. So Wonder Woman 84 basically is a story, a romance story, more than anything. Steve Trevor comes back by certain circumstances that not only Wonder Woman has herself entangled with, but so does these new characters, a zoologist and gemologist played by Kristen Wiig, and a oil tycoon that's kind of more a TV personality played by Pedro Pascal, Max Lord. So these three characters are intertwined in something that is mystical, that could change the course of the world if it is unchecked. And you start to kind of look at the story as a homage to the Wonder Woman TV show. It has kind of a classic TV show vibe to it. And Chaz, let's tee off with that. What did you think of Wonder Woman 1984?
I thought that had an interesting start, and then in the second act that went nowhere, and then the third act just undid everything that it tried to set up itself up to do.
How so?
That's spoiler stuff. So
okay, you can.
I know.
Fine. Well, here's what I'll say about this. I think a lot of moments really work with 1984. I think the runtime could definitely lose a lot. I saw a tweet saying that the first 90 minutes could be condensed into 30 minutes, and I totally agree. It has a lot of moving pieces that it sets up a little bit too unorganically. It doesn't really work for the story it's trying to tell, and you kind of, at least I found myself missing key scenes that I feel should have been explored within each character. Like there were moments within each character that get you to relate and understand and empathize with their situation, but not enough to really bring out a fully fleshed villain, which we can get into later on. I do think that if you've seen it in the trailers, so this isn't really a spoiler, Barbara does turn into Cheetah. I think that turn is incredibly out of left field. It happens within 5 minutes of the start to that. And it just seemed even out of character for her character. I don't think her relationship with Diana Prince was really realistic. Felt kind of forced. Felt like Wonder Woman had to have like a dweeb with her because the dweeb had no one else. There's a lot of weird stuff with that. I think Pedro Pascal is incredible though. I think he really chews the scene in this, and he does a good job with his character.
Yeah, well, and like when he first appeared on screen, I thought he was a little bit miscast at first. But then I realized that this is 2.5 hours, so we'll see what the payoff is. Let's see actually why they kind of cast him. And by the end, we kind of see him falling out why they casted him. Like you said, I think he did a great job. I think Kristen Wiig did a great job with what she was given. It's not the acting that's bad at all. I just want to say that up front. I don't think any of that's bad. But there's a lot of structural stuff, especially like in the scene, not the opening scene, but like there's a scene within the mall and it kind of shows how clunky the editing is, you know. And
Yeah.
I could dive more into that with like spoilers, even though it's not like a huge spoiler at all. But it's just there's like 4 cuts that could have been trimmed down to 2 cuts easily, and it would have been more impactful within that scene because like that.
There's a lot of moments that are drawn out too long.
Exactly, and
like the scene should have ended, but they're still going, and it's like, well, why are you still going? We need to move forward.
Right. Well, and that's the thing too, is it kind of remind me of writing a screenplay in that sense, where you say so and so shows this emotion, you know, like she smiles, and you say so and so smiles, and so winks or whatever. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's going back and forth like that is exactly how they cut it. But I think the job as an editor is to see those 2 moments and see how they're supposed to be fused into one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it really what it comes down to is this script was fucking everywhere. And the editing was just everywhere. And I seriously think there was studio involvement somewhere in the production line. So
interesting. I didn't feel that at all. I felt it was mainly a Patty Jenkins driven film, and that she was just trying to go back and harken back to the old classic Wonder Woman film. And you see that with a post-credit scene that happens. Yeah. And when you look at it in that lens, there's a few things that are more forgivable than what I think a lot of people are slamming into about this film. I think the main problem is the pacing. I think the scenes sometimes feel a little out of place, and a lot of stuff isn't really explored the way that you would hope it would. Right. Particularly with Barbara's transformation into Cheetah, that really in the end made me like it literally she does a thing and then she's Cheetah, like one step from there. Everything before that was a lot of kind of like Spider-Man learning his abilities. Like there's a lot of parallels for me between that and a little bit even with Jim Carrey's The Riddler and Batman Forever.
You know what? It's funny you bring up Batman because she actually Kristen Wiig's character, what's her name? Barbara Cheetah. We'll just call her Cheetah.
Barbara Minerva.
Yeah. She gives me off.
Minerva.
Like the way they set her up in this movie is very much like Poison Ivy and Batman and Robin.
Oh yeah.
And this movie kind of
wait, fuck, what?
Yeah.
Say that again.
So her character is set up like Poison Ivy and Batman and Robin.
Yeah,
yeah. Especially toward the end when it comes off way out of left field.
Way less.
No, right. It's not as extra,
Barbara
but
Minerva, I got it.
It's the same exact setup as that, and I feel like this suffers from the sequel syndrome of having too many villains at once and struggling to balance the two.
Because I don't see that either. I just think they focused on the wrong stuff. Like they had 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours gave us Harvey Dent and the Joker, and those were incredibly fleshed out and well established villains. These two, here's what happened. They spent too much time, which I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing, because these are the scenes that work, are the parts with Diana Prince as Steve Trevor and their romantic relationship. There are some questionable, like, how is he able to do a certain thing being in this time period that you can talk about, but I think their chemistry is always off the charts, and there's a really powerful moment that I still... Actually, I went back and watched the clip again. Just the clip on its own even felt very powerful to me, and I really did love that moment when it happened. But I can't say that the rest of the film didn't feel like it was either rushed or hindered by them focusing on this storyline instead.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing too, is like you said, you start wondering exactly how he's able to exist in this world, right? Because of the circumstances. And they don't explicitly state that at all. And it's very much like 40 minutes of implied knowledge of them trying to give you hints, and maybe it's the hints that didn't land at all that made this feel like such a drag, right? And by the time it clicks with you, something happens with his character, you know, and like it's just like, oh, then what was the point essentially? And this whole movie just had me questioning what the fuck is the actual point that they're trying to drive home. Then they do that at the end with her monologue and exposition, but it's so far gone that like I don't care at that point. It's just like, holy shit, how many times can you hammer that in our heads? Like you could say that all you want. They made
that point at the very beginning of the film with a really great opening scene in Themyscira.
I don't see how
like they make that
at all, man.
Point. You don't see that?
No, because like maybe just a little bit to the villain, but it doesn't do anything with Wonder Woman. Like this movie doesn't.
There are
add
no shortcuts in life.
I know that.
And the truth is the truth.
Right.
And we can get into spoilers about what I mean exactly by that, but that's what I still was able to hold on to throughout the film. That
Well,
through line was still there. That
okay,
she found a way to cheat something and she's taking advantage of it. But that's not what selflessness is. That's not what being a fully
yeah,
integrated hero is. And so they utilize that well.
okay, that's a great message, but the way she gets there is the least arc.
Totally agree.
It's a flatlined arc.
But the
to
message
core.
is there.
Okay, that's fine. I'm not going to argue at that point. But could they have?
You can't. I win.
Could they have
Swish.
showcased that better? Yes, I would argue they could definitely gone about that in a whole different way. So maybe it's not the message that's wrong, but it could be the convoluted 2.5 hours, that the runtime is, that it just totally missed the point. Like that message could have been like, I feel like if it was shorter, the message could have been hit harder. You know what I mean? And there are other pivotal moments in here that we will talk about in spoilers, especially because there are some musical cues in here where I'm like,
well, let's
understand
go ahead and do that. So everybody that hasn't seen Wonder Woman 1984, thank you for checking out this review. Make sure to give it a like, follow, all that shit. Get the hell out of here because we're about to spoil some stuff. Let's put up the banner.
Spoiler alert.
So if you have not seen Wonder Woman 1984 or you want to stick around and hear some of the plot points, that is your alert. Chaz, what was the first scene that to you felt like it started going downhill then? Just the mall scene?
The mall scene, and it's when she saves the little girl and she's holding the guy, right? And the interaction is just weird because she like winks at her and it cuts the girl winking. And then for whatever, I don't know why she does this, but she's like, she shushes her, like, like, shh, like keep a secret, right?
Yeah.
And then the girl just smiles. And it's the awkward 4 cuts back and forth.
I thought it was cute.
I mean, it could have been cute. That's fine. But just imagine this: if they would have done this, like her winking at the girl and saying, like, wink, shh, and then the girl like winks and smiles. Like, there's no reason to do 4 cuts. Could have been done to 2, and I think that would have been more impactful to that situation. I don't know. The whole mall thing is only to introduce the stone, essentially. That is the driving plot device of the whole movie, really. But
well, people are calling this film cheesy, and they're talking about her running, the way that she's running on the ground. Like there's specific sequences in the mall with how she's running. I think they're doing kind of like you're dragging carpet as she's running, kind of like running on an escalator, or is that what they're called? The flat ones that are at an airport.
Sure, we'll just call them walking escalators, running escalators, whatever they're called.
So she kind of has something like that where she's running on one of those and it's making her go really fast, but. They think it looks silly to me, like the whole movie. And if you don't understand this, and if you understand this and don't like it, or if you're kind of clueless to like the classic, Patty Jenkins has always been influenced by the original Richard Donner Superman, and now with this, it's Wonder Woman. So what's surprising to me is how much the fans are kind of understanding that, but still disliking it, and critics are just seeing it as overtly cheesy. And not an homage to it, because cheesiness can be good if it's done right. And this, I think, had cheesy moments that I think were done right.
Well, I think what the issue that the issue that's stemming from that is the fact that this is nothing like Wonder Woman, the first one, at all in terms of the filmmaking style, like everything, right? And I feel like if they would have introduced those elements in that movie, then that would have been like better, because like that movie kind of set the expectations for Wonder Woman 84. And by all means, if you want to make the movie differently, but I think every filmmaker has every right to do that. But to use different techniques and to say that it's not cheesy, I mean, like, it is cheesy and it's probably off-putting for that reason. It's because you didn't utilize those when you first introduced her, and it's not that like in those moments don't add anything to her character at all. It's just different.
Because I like Batman Forever and Batman and Robin that makes me kind of dig this.
It might be, man.
that part of me does feel like paying tribute to the oldie. Like, if you're gonna do something like that, fuck it, why not? Like, we all knew there was gonna be in the 80s, that it was gonna be vibrant, that it was gonna be cheesy in a lot of ways. Here's what the real issue is to me. It's the screenplay. It's how they developed their villains, because they just really didn't. Like, they gave a compelling reason to root for or against, and then left it, especially with Kirsten Wiggs. Diana Prince, they have one interaction at the beginning where she asks her for dinner or something, just out of the blue, because she helped pick up her papers that she dropped on the ground. And Diana first is like, no. and kind of walks away. She's kind of a shut-in in this for the beginning. Like, she's still reeling from the loss of Steve Trevor, who ends up coming back, which we'll spoil now, from that rock, from a rock. It's an ancient rock that will grant you a wish. What happens with Maxwell Lord's character is he wishes to be the rock itself. That way, anybody who touches him and wishes for something, he can take away something from them. So he's basically like taking something while giving things. He's a human monkey paw, essentially, is the best way to put it. But Barbara wants to be as beautiful and attractive as Diana. But this first lunch thing they did, it just, I don't know. You can't really sell it very good. And then right after that dinner scene, it's late at night, and she gets attacked by somebody that was like going to do,
Sexual assault.
I don't know what that is. I'm blur my hands for that one. That was weird. Why did I stop there? I don't know. That was awkward. I immediately thought of Promising Young Woman, and I stopped in my track. Go watch Promising Young Woman, man.
I will.
We got to do that review too. You got to watch that, then we got to do the review. But suddenly Diana just shows up, knocks the guy off, and then later on you have a return to that character. To me, when Diana was telling Barbara, "Hey, you're now soulless, like you have no heart," to me that was like, when did she suddenly lose her humanity for confronting her attacker? Like that's like the Punisher, you know. That's not really your pure evil, which I thought was fucked up for Diana to do. She's not a very good friend.
Yeah.
So I didn't buy the relationship, and not buying it, I didn't like it. I could even be okay with what people were calling the Cirque du Soleil ending. You remember, you know that?
Yes. But man, even with Kristen Wiig, I mean, she did a great job with what she was given. That's why I said that, because her character was not developed at all, and it seems like it focuses more on Max Lord. Is it Lord? You said his name was Max Lord.
Well, it's Maxwell Lord in the comics, but Maxwell Lord in the movie.
Okay. It focuses more on him essentially, and then it kind of like casts her on the side, and then she should show up randomly, more powerful than before, right? And then, I mean, there's a scene when they're in the White House after Max gets the power of the presidency, and he's like, "Oh, you're going to give me all this shit to rule the nation and the world or whatever," and fucking, she shows up out of nowhere, and like, I don't understand her motive to save him. Like, I get it on paper, it's because she doesn't want to lose what she gained, right? I mean, fine.
Well, did he even get arrested afterward?
No, he walks off scot-free.
It really
man.
bugged me. Yeah.
After all that, he walks off scot-free and hugs his kid. Like,
but end of the day, I don't see this film as a miss, as most people do. Like, I have the same issues, but at the same time, I think that it was still it's a well-intended movie. There's a lot of good intentions with it. That to me, I think, yeah, exactly. Like, it's a mess, but it's a mess that has style. And I'll take a mess with style over...
What style, though, is my question.
Oh, the cheesiness. Their cheesy tone with being the homage to the classics. Like, they went hard on a tone, and I think some people are going to feel it's off-putting because it's just too over the top, or people will understand it a little bit and give some forgiveness on that, but not any of the plot points or the structure, which I had the issues with.
Yeah, the cheesiness isn't what pissed me off at all. In fact, I didn't realize that she took inspiration from Superman, like Richard Donner's Superman or Wonder Woman.
Oh yeah, the original first Wonder Woman, very much like the Clark Kent glasses, all of that.
Yeah, and so I didn't focus on the style as much or the cheesiness because it was in the 80s, so I thought it was just part of the culture because the 80s are goofy as if.
Yeah.
And they show that with like the different people, like
they made it more character than X-Men did in X-Men Apocalypse.
Yes, yeah, they did do that, but
they were just like, Return of the Jedi joke.
Let me ask you a question then. So her pivotal moment after Steve disappears, and that's the part that kind of like threw me off, even because like he disappears out of nowhere. He's like, I can't stay, and then he fucking goes behind a pillar.
You
didn't
like it?
Absolutely,
I thought it was great.
Not.
I
thought
it was
no
great.
Send up at all.
Oh, dude, I think that story, that speech he gives her. And seeing her break and just being like, I don't want to lose you again. And her like basically being like, I just want this one thing. All I want is him. I don't care. But fucking Pedro Pascal's ruining this for everybody. And when they have that kiss and you hear him from behind, sure, it might be cheesy, but that's the point of the movie, to be a little bit of an homage. Hearing him say, "I'll always love you, Diana." It was emotional. And seeing her crying
dumb.
and then finally taking flight for the first time from that, which is the homage that they had from don't shake your fucking hands at me.
No. This is my biggest gripe. This is my biggest gripe. The flying scene, okay? Okay, here we go.
Wow.
Motherfucker. This is a new fucking power that she's finding. After losing Steve, right? She jumps in the air and finally figures this out.
How did Magneto move the quarter? How did Magneto move the quarter? How did Magneto move the quarter?
This isn't this at all. Like
you're stress?
No, this isn't about the no. This is completely no.
Just saying, I win.
This is about the music. This is about the music, motherfucker.
The music?
Yes. Reason being, because this is such a powerful moment for her. A new power, right? Like the stress, like you're saying, like, yes, I am with this. Like this is a great way to find the power. But instead of coming up with a theme for such a great power, they use Adagio in G minor or in D minor from Sunshine. A John Murphy score when Hans Zimmer is the fucking composer. Why?
Is that confirmed?
Yes.
So he would be credited then on Spotify.
John Murphy is yes.
We have to look this up, ladies and gentlemen. Hans Zimmer. It's only showing Hans Zimmer. By Hans Zimmer. Nothing else.
No, Adagio in D minor. Do you know what Adagio in D minor is?
The Already Gone is the one. So Already Gone is the song.
No, that's not the song. What are you talking about?
Yeah, well, I think it is. Did you hear that?
No.
Oh, well, I tried to play it. Didn't work.
No, I did not hear that. I'm just saying...
he's not credited on it. Maybe he'll be credited in the credits. Somebody will have to finish the puzzle with that.
For example, on Wikipedia.com...
So you're upset that they reused the score. They reused other scores, too. They used the Batman v Superman
But for such a pivotal moment for her new power. Dude, that deserves a theme.
Sure.
A new theme. And they fucking don't. It's like they use a tech
Why does she need a new theme? Her old theme is great.
Okay, then use her old theme in that scene. Why use not even an original song for such a pivotal moment for her learning how to fly? What the fuck? That's not what you do.
My God.
That pissed me off, man.
I like this.
Anyways, on Wikipedia, it says an aerial scene in 2020's Wonder Woman 1984, they used Sunshine music from the motion picture, Adagio in D minor. Okay, which is originally composed by John Murphy. That's what I'm saying. But hearing that, here's the thing too. I was watching this with my family, and my dad's like, "Oh my God, is that the music from Sunshine?" I'm like, "Yeah, like that sounds really familiar." And so he thought it was Hans Zimmer, and I'm like, "No, that's not. That doesn't sound like Hans Zimmer. Like Hans Zimmer doesn't rip people off. You know, like there has to be a reason behind. I don't know why. That's such a great, powerful moment. Undone by it's a great soundtrack, by the way. Sunshine's
undone by you, but why is it not a great song that can still be utilized? Like that would be
it doesn't
like
fit
complaining.
In Wonder Woman,
that'd be
man.
like complaining about Guardians of the Galaxy not using original score and using movie like sounds from like other bands and stuff.
Completely different, man. This is like you said. This is such a stressful moment for her, right?
She
finds her new power, and they don't even come up with a theme for this power. It doesn't make that power even powerful anymore. At that point, it's just
here's where I had the issue with the score.
Okay.
Here's where I had the issue with the score, and it was lovely to hear the Batman v Superman theme, but it really didn't work when she was giving her message of hope to have the Martha getting murdered scene music happening, and then Bruce falling down a well. And all that shit, like it just took me back to that, and I was like, "Wait, this feels weird." It's like the dark, but and that also that whole scene was totally drawn out, way too long. I was sitting there bored to death watching it again because it was just like with him in the middle thing, and then her just being like, "And you can change the world, and we can change the world."
It was so monotone.
All of us can change the world.
It was anticlimactic.
And like it was almost it was a little frightening. She looking too close to you.
It felt like reshoots, man. That doesn't feel like the original intention.
It was a reshoot. Man, that was the original intention.
It was such a clusterfuck of anticlimactic stuff.
Because we look at Wonder Woman, the first one's ending. That was studio meddling.
No, dude, I prefer that one. I cried when she said, "I believe
that."
That
was not the original ending.
Okay, that's great, but like either way, that was emotional. This ending is not emotional at all.
That ending, the CGI fest.
Yes.
Eh,
I cried when she says, "I believe in
Whatevs,
love," and then
skis.
she fucking does her little thing. Fuck yeah, man! I felt that. This movie
Okay.
had nothing like that.
Hers, and yes, it did. You just weren't listening. It's about the truth.
Wow, her laying there speaking
And
monotone.
I'm sorry that
You
you
have to
don't see
believe
the
in the
truth as a
truth.
valuable.
You have to
That's
hope.
the thing. See, you're not going to take it because you're already cynical about it. This movie
because
hates
nothing
cynics.
follows up.
This is anti-cynics.
No, this is anticlimactic,
It's
is what it is,
horribly
dude.
flawed. It's horribly flawed. I'm with you, but you're dogging it on some things that I don't know. I didn't like that song being in there though. I thought it was very
that's fair.
strange to have that.
Also, before that scene though, I want to touch on Cheetah. She changes the Cheetah out of fucking
After
nowhere.
this, do your final thoughts.
Okay, she changes the Cheetah out of nowhere, and I'm like, that's fucking out of nowhere. And then Cheetah's really CGI'd. Wow, Wonder Woman is wearing the badass suit, but then the wings are torn off
Very quickly.
I'm like, well, that's fucking useless. Like,
yeah, she didn't do too much with them.
No, it's like all this build up with no execution at all. And then I thought she would have died. I thought Cheetah died, under the water being shocked. But while she's being shocked, Wonder Woman was not, even though she was wearing a metal suit. It makes no fucking sense to me at all.
Yeah, that was confusing. I didn't understand that. And she got the same powers,
Yeah. It was just
like Barbara had the same powers. Which, by the way, that's a little confusing too. So she does still have Wonder Woman's powers because she didn't rescind her wish.
Right.
So she's still Cheetah.
How did she become Cheetah though? Like she's
gonna have to Spider-Man herself. No, it's that line. I wish to be the apex predator that really was like, ugh. Okay. You wouldn't say that. You just wouldn't say that. Sorry.
I do want to say that the cameo at the end. This is my last final thought. I felt like because the flashback of the warrior, that exposition that we see, I think that deserved a little bit more screen time, and that should have been like a running theme throughout underneath the whole movie, was her trying to replicate this warrior myth or whatever, and it was not. It was just thrown in there, and then so Linda Carter showing up at the end as turning out to be the warrior that was in that flashback. I thought that was just dumb. I get it's Linda Carter.
See,
I'm
that's what I'm saying. I don't
stupid. It's because they don't set it up, man. If you want it to be a payoff, then set it up correctly. It's not my fault you didn't set it up correctly. Therefore, it's fucking dumb. Period. That's my final thoughts. This movie could have been so much more.
They never set up Stan Lee cameos, yet you're pissed about this one. All right. That's cool.
Well, it's because Stan Lee didn't have a backstory to any of his characters at all.
Exactly. Well, yes, he did. He's a watcher.
Oh, okay, whatever.
So fuck you. No.
What are your thoughts,
closing
then?
Thoughts for me. Here's what I'll say. Wonder Woman 1984 is nowhere near good in the realm of we're looking at the next Joker film to win awards. It isn't. That ain't that film. And it's not pretending to be that film. What it is a look back, right? This is kind of an homage back to the original series. I do think that it's a little bloated and it really could be trimmed down. I do think the villains were underdeveloped and did not focus on the right stuff for me. But Diana and Steve's characters still work well together. I do think that there's emotional, heartfelt scenes in this. It just doesn't really work as a whole. It kind of reminds me of, honestly, Batman v Superman in a lot of ways, where you can watch these clips and be really satisfied. Like the Batman Warehouse clip, I've watched it multiple times. But it's when you sit down and watch the 3-hour sluggish cut where you go, okay, a lot of plot points just need to shut the hell up because we're just going way too far. That's what this feels like in a lot of ways. That doesn't mean that it's necessarily a horrible film. And I don't think that it's the worst from DC. People saying that this is the worst DC has done I don't get it. You're probably just trying to get likes or something.
This is next to Suicide Squad for me.
I don't think it's next to Suicide Squad.
I think it is.
Aquaman is closer to Suicide Squad.
Oh, see, I love Aquaman, so that's where I'm very different. But let me ask you a question then, 2 questions real quick. Do you think this is setting up the discourse for the Justice League in the next coming months? Because that's the next biggest DC project.
Oh, but that was already going to be bad. Wonder Woman didn't do. Don't blame Wonder Woman.
I'm talking about the discourse. I'm talking about the discourse.
Oh yeah,
do you think
we're going to be
even worse?
Pissy. Everyone's going to be just as pissy about everything.
Then you're my final.
Unless it ends up being good.
Well,
there's 4 hours. We'll see.
Let me ask you my final question real quick. Ready for this? What would you rate Wonder Woman 1984?
What would I rate it? Well, what did I rate it? I'll just go to my review.
This will say this will
This will be the
speak
one that I
volumes.
had. This is the review I did the day of watching it. Let's see.
Throw that plug in there.
So for this, I gave it 3.5. And I'll be honest, after watching the clips again, I'd probably go to 3.
Fair. I gave it.
See?
I
You
give
can
it
give
one.
it a 2. A 1?
I give it
Oh,
1.5.
Shit,
I
dude.
give it 1.5 out of 5.
Wow. Well, you've got a well-rounded video here for our first video for the Patreon, so please make sure that you guys are checking it out. We're going to post this on YouTube a little bit after, hopefully after everything dies down so that we don't get massive attacks on Twitter or something. I'm Patrick at PatB Reviews. He is Chaz from your boy Chaz A, and we will see you at the next review.